Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Thursday. I hope everyone is well and you're enjoying this time now of kind of post-Arsenal. And heading into the summer, probably to have a little bit of a breather from football. But having said that, it is transfer season, so it is pretty mad, as always is during the summer. Pretty much, I think, as a reporter, certainly trying to cover the transfer window is pretty much as stressful and as draining as it is actually going up and down the country following the actual football when it's on. But it's part of the job, and yeah, it certainly generates lots of debate and interesting discussion. So I will try and keep you as updated as I possibly can throughout the summer on all the ups and downs, the movements, the ins and outs of Arsenal's transfer window. I just wanted to start today as well by saying a hello to Ollie Luke, who your dad sits next to my dad at the Emirates and has done for a long, long time. Used to sit next to me before I moved to the press box. And I know my dad was talking to him at the game the other day, and I said that I'd give you a big hello. So hello, hope you're enjoying the start to your summer. Thank you for watching the channel. And I'm sure one day when I head round to the Emirates, I might end up bumping into you one day if you go with your old man and I go and say hello to mine. Right, let's start, shall we? Eddie Nketiah, let's start right there. Contract news, contract Uturn, developments with Eddie Nketiah. It's looking more and more like Arsenal are going to keep Eddie Nketiah and that he has decided to stay and extend his contract with Arsenal. It's not done yet. Nothing's concluded, nothing's signed, but as far as I'm aware, the noises coming from people that I've spoken to, it is beginning to look more and more likely that Eddie Nketiah will sign at Arsenal and he'll reject the advances of the other Premier League teams. The teams who are interested, including Crystal Palace, who we know have very much been at the front of the queue for Nketiah, they are starting to believe now. They are getting the sense that Nketiah is going to stay. As I said, people that I spoke to at Arsenal have made it very clear to me that it is not done yet. So there might be another change of heart. We'll have to wait and see. But it certainly appears to be heading in the right direction that Eddie Nketiah is going to stay for Arsenal. I saw Sammy Mockbell, who broke this exclusively yesterday on the Mail yesterday. Brilliant reporter, Sammy. Give him a follow if you don't already on social media. He's reporting that it's going to be about 100 grand a week for Eddie Nketiah, possible 5-year contract. Big money, certainly a big reward for Eddie Nketiah and his impressive end to the season. That's generated lots of debate whether he's worth that sort of money. I think from Arsenal's point of view, you're kind of looking at it, if it is 100, and we don't know the ins and outs, we don't know if it's straight 100, we don't know if it's 70, 80 with bonuses, which I'm sure it probably is because there will be bonuses included in these sort of contracts. But also from Arsenal's point of view, and Eddie Nketiah was in a very strong position. If he was going to go elsewhere, he was going to get big wages elsewhere at Palace. He was probably going to get in and around the 80 grand mark, but he was also going to get a massive signing on fee, that sort of stuff. That's the bonus you get if you move as a free transfer. You get a huge signing on fee somewhere else because that club doesn't have to pay a transfer fee for you. So Arsenal would have to take that into account when they're in these negotiations with someone like Nketiah, because him and his agent will be sitting at the table talking, and they'll say, look, this is what's on offer from elsewhere. We're going to be getting 70, 80 grand a week there, but we're going to be getting £5-10 million signing on fee from this club just for joining. What are you going to give us? So Arsenal's contract often might be a little bit higher in terms of wages, but they're not necessarily going to have to pay anywhere near as much that sort of signing on fee that the other clubs were. So that has to be taken into account when you're looking at wages and what certainly players who are going to extend their contract are going to get, because they're going to be having Eddie Nketiah. Certainly, even before this strong end to the season, there was lots of interest in Eddie Nketiah, both in England and abroad. And all these clubs for a long time would have been laying these offers on the table in front of the agent with fairly big. Certainly, the Premier League clubs would have been offering big money in terms of wages, but also, most importantly, that very, very big signing on fee, which is basically them saying, look, come to us, we'll give you, on top of your wages, we'll give you this. And whoever sort of offers the most, you got the best chance of getting him. So he'd have a lot of offers and a lot of money on the table. So I think when you're thinking of 100 grand a week for Arsenal, you've got to put it into context a little bit and think about that signing on fee that Eddie Nketiah is basically going to be saying no to when he turns down these other clubs to sign at Arsenal. But we'll wait and see. It's not done yet. And we'll have to wait and see if that confirmation comes through when it does. But certainly all the signs that I'm getting speaking to people, and clearly other reporters, like I said, Sammy broke the story yesterday, is that it is now looking more and more likely that Eddie Nketiah will sign for Arsenal. Let me know what you think about that. Is this a good move? Did you want to see Eddie stay after that strong end to the season, or did you think it was time to move on and bring others in to replace him? Let me know, as always, in the comments below. I think one of the main things I'm probably going to expect to see in the comments on those about Eddie Nketiah is, what does this mean for Arsenal's striker hunt this summer? Does that mean they're only going to sign one forward rather than potentially two? The answer to that is, I'm afraid, I don't know at this stage. I don't necessarily think it means that they will only sign one, because you've got to think, I'm expecting Balogun probably to go out on loan next season again for the full season somewhere else. And so that, at this stage, is just basically leaving Eddie Nketiah as Arsenal's only striker. Yes, you got Martinelli, but he doesn't play up front under Arteta, we know that. And so it basically leaves only Eddie Nketiah. And so I don't necessarily think that just signing one other striker and having Nketiah and another is anywhere near enough when you've got European competition, cup competition. So I still think there's a very good chance Arsenal will still go out and sign two forwards, because there's going to be lots of demands on the squad, certainly a lot more demands that were on the squad this season because of those extra games in the Europa League and things like that. So I still think there's a very good chance that they'll go out and sign two. We know Gabriel Jesus, get the pronunciation right before you have a go at me. We know that Jesus is right at the top of Arsenal's transfer targets. There's other clubs interested in Jesus. That's something that's going to be worked out relatively quickly, I think, this summer. His agents are over here at the moment. They're talking to Manchester City. They're trying to resolve the situation, trying to find out, obviously, how much Manchester City want, that sort of thing. Man City still not necessarily given up trying to keep Jesus, but you think with Haaland coming in, it's time for him to move on, really, if he wants to go and be the main man elsewhere. And he's got an opportunity to be the main man at Arsenal, and they are trying to get him. So I think you'll certainly see Jesus, even if Nketiah arrives, and then I don't necessarily think that we won't see another. I think there's still a good chance, and like I reported the other day, Victor Osimhen is very much on the agenda for Arsenal. His agent flew in last week for talks with Edu. There's other strikers we know who are very much on the agenda. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, big admirers at Arsenal. They're still admirers, even though he didn't have the best of seasons and he had lots of injuries as well. Tammy Abraham, we saw him win the Conference League yesterday with Roma. He's a player that Arsenal were really pushing for last summer. Didn't happen, but it wouldn't surprise me maybe if they go again for him. So if you're sitting there now worrying and thinking, oh no, Nketiah's staying, we're only going to sign one forward, I wouldn't panic just yet if that's how you're feeling, put it that way. But as is the way with the transfer window, it's all if, buts and maybes at this stage. But I do expect Arsenal to be busy, and I still got a feeling we might see two forwards and Nketiah if Nketiah does sign his contract. One player who has signed a new contract, and that is all confirmed. I mean, we already knew it because we reported it at the weekend. We saw, well, I didn't see it. I was sitting down at my desk, but Kaya from Football London saw it and got a photo of Mohamed Elneny signing his new contract, basically in the press conference room after the game against Everton, right next to the media. So it was the worst kept secret in London, basically, that he'd signed a new deal, but Arsenal finally actually officially announced it yesterday. 1 year deal with an extension for Elneny. I think it's perfectly reasonable. I've seen some people complaining about it, but I think given, as I said, the demands that are going to be on Arsenal's squad next season, Elneny has shown again when he steps up and needs to play that he can do a job. May not be a world beater, we know that. He's not Thomas Partey, we know that, but you can't have a squad packed full of Thomas Parteys. You need decent squad players who can come in, who are happy to sit on the bench a lot of the time, but can come in and can hit the ground running when they're needed. And Elneny has shown time and time again that he can do that. He had a very good end to the season. I think it makes perfect sense. I don't know this for sure, but I can't imagine he got any significant sort of pay rise or anything like that. I imagine it's just the same terms as he was on. It's just been extended 1 year with the extension, with the clause to possibly extend it for another year as well. And it just makes perfect sense to me. He says, he loves it at Arsenal. I remember he walked through the mix zone after a game fairly recently. I wasn't there, but some of the other reporters were there, and he was basically saying at that point, look, just give me a contract, I'll sign it, whatever it is, I want to stay at this club. And you can see by these comments yesterday, he says, I feel like when you're playing one of the biggest teams in the world and you have an amazing family and the fans are really amazing as well, they make me feel special. You feel like you are special for this club, and this club is special for you. Of course I wanted to stay here until I finish my career, actually. Arteta was then talking about it, and he said Mo is a really important part of the team. He brings endless energy, enthusiasm and commitment to the team, and is loved by everyone. He's an important player for us on and off the pitch, a real role model and to our younger players, and I'm delighted he's staying. Look, I think Elneny's going to have a big part to play next season, not necessarily in the Premier League. If everyone stays fit, you imagine he is then going to be a substitute, and he's going to He might play here and there, but I think certainly for the cup competitions, certainly for the Europa League in the early stages, Mohamed Elneny is going to be very, very important for Arsenal. He's experienced, keeps the ball moving. He might not be the most progressive player, we know that, but he still, he keeps the ball moving. He's tidy, and he's perfect for Mikel Arteta as well. So it doesn't surprise me he signed a new deal. And congratulations to Mohamed Elneny. Okay, before we go, let's quickly talk about William Saliba, who I think, again, is going to be a pretty running theme of these videos during the summer. Mikel Arteta's comments the other day went down very well with Arsenal fans. It was by far the most definitive Mikel has been when it comes to William Saliba since he's basically been at the club. He said, look, he has to come back. He explained why he was sent out on loan, explained that he would never have got anywhere near the amount of game time he got for Marseille. And says he has to come back and he's going to be really important for us next season. And I think that, it went down very, very well with Arsenal fans. They've kind of wanted Arteta to say something like that for a long time about Saliba. And it makes them feel like that he's staying. The one caveat, I said this the other day in the video to it all, is if Saliba was to come back this summer and say, fine, you can have me back, but I am not signing a new contract. No way, it's not happening. Then that puts Arsenal in a difficult position because obviously he's only got 2 years left on his deal. You don't want him to go down to the final year, and you kind of feel like they might have to sell anyway this summer, despite what Mikel Arteta's comments were. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that's the one sort of position where this could all be flipped on its head when Arsenal and Saliba's representatives really sort of sit down together and start talking about what the future is. And that's what Saliba's representatives want. They want to know exactly what the plan is for Arsenal now and Saliba, because he's coming off a great season in France. He's been Young Player of the Year. He's now in the French World Cup squad. In the French squad. He's been in the last couple that Didier Deschamps has announced. He will want to be in the World Cup now. He's got every chance of being at the World Cup if he continues to play. And so that's going to be the key thing when they all sit down together this summer and work out exactly what's going to go on with Saliba. It's like, right, am I going to get enough minutes to be playing? I don't think necessarily he's going to come in and say, I demand to start. I don't think any player his age can go to a club like Arsenal and say, I demand to start. It's just not happening. If that's the case, then he probably should leave, because that's not the attitude you can have at a club like Arsenal. But I think he's going to want assurances that he's definitely going to get opportunities, he's going to get minutes. And to be honest, I think Arsenal will give them to him. I can't see that they won't. And there's no way that Saliba, if he comes in and plays really, really well and looks the best defender out of the three, I think he'll start. I think Arteta's the type of manager who will do that. We saw it with Martinelli earlier in the season. He wasn't really getting a look in. You kind of felt like Arteta maybe didn't fancy him. Then he got his chance, came in, scored against Newcastle, started impressing it, and then he pretty much played for the rest of the season. He pushed Emil Smith-Rowe out the team. And that's what Saliba can do. If he comes in, plays well in the Europa League, plays well in the Premier League if he gets an opportunity, there's no reason why I can't see that Arteta will be totally rigid and be like, no, Ben White and Gabriel are my two, no matter how well he plays. So he's got to back himself as well, Saliba. And I think he will. I think he's that kind of player. It feels like he is. And his agents just want to know what's going on. And I imagine, and I don't know this for sure, I don't know it's happened yet, but there will be contract discussions when they sit down and talk, because there has to be. Arsenal have to be in a position where they can get back into a position of strength, really, when it comes to Saliba, because at the moment the shift in power is going towards the player and his agents, because he's only got 2 years left on his contract. So if they're going to really believe in Saliba and are going to play him and he's going to be a big part of the future, then he needs to sign a new contract quickly, because Arsenal can't let it go down to the final year. Marseille haven't given up, as you would expect. I mean, they love him there. The president, Pablo Longoria, has been speaking, said we had a lot of conversations about William's season, analysing it, especially in the last few days. He's coming off extraordinary season with one of the highest numbers of matches played in Europe. He also joined the France team, which is incredible at his age. We discussed a lot internally about what we can do to find out what the possibilities are. We respect his club. We have to thank Arsenal. Arsenal are a friendly club that helped us a lot during the last transfer window. We have very good relations. We have to talk to each other, see if there is a possibility of reaching an agreement between the clubs. There is the players' will, the club's will, but above all, we must respect Arsenal. So they haven't given up, and they won't give up, I imagine. The only thing is, I can't see Arsenal loaning him back, because it doesn't make, unless he signs a new contract, because again, it doesn't make sense, and Arsenal would have to sign a centre-back, and it feels like Saliba's now ready. He's been out, he's had his impressive loan, he is now ready to really sort of be a big player for Arsenal. It doesn't make any sense to me now sending him out on loan. You either sell now or you bring him back to Arsenal and play him. So I think the loan's probably out of the equation, unless he signs a new contract and Arsenal bring in another centre-back, so which I can't see that happening. And I don't see how Marseille buy him, because I don't see how they're going to have the money to do it. Yes, they're in the Champions League, but they've got some issues, Marseille, and I'm just not sure they're going to have the funds available that would make it worthwhile for Arsenal to part ways with Saliba. So I think that they'll certainly try. They'll keep going. They'll be in Saliba's representative's ear. They'll be in Saliba's ear. But I think ultimately Arsenal, they've made their position pretty clear in the last few weeks, and I think that is that Saliba's going to stay. So despite all the comments that we're going to continue to see coming out of France, I imagine, from Marseille, I think they might be fighting a bit of a losing battle when it comes to him. But we'll wait and see. As always, the Saliba soap opera has got twists and turns all over it. Right, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Appreciate your time. As always, have a very good day. I'll speak to you soon.